everyone, and welcome to the space again in Future Teen Mexico. The connection that we are having right now is in the cultural sector, and artist is Hygin, Delimat, and also is with us Giselle, who is actually right now the person who is in charge of cultural department, and here the regional coordinator in Future Team. Welcome both, and thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you. And as an initiative of Future Team Mexico in response of this crisis of COVID-19, by taking testimonies, now we are here with Hygin, a choreographer, performer, curator, light designer, and cultural producer, and also the artistic director of Body Architects and the Craft Choreography. Now he's here with us in this interview to talk about all this crisis and how it affects the art and in his country and all the artistic community.
Well, Hygin, first of all, how are you, and where are you right now? How are you living all this experience and let's say the whole crisis? So what is happening? Where are you now?
So welcome, good evening on my side, or good morning on your side. I'm right now in Vienna, and where I live. Also, most of us are stuck at home, whether it's with our family or basically simply where we live. And yeah, and I'm just in my apartment. I'm not supposed to go out too much, so I can go for a walk, or I can go for work, which I don't have at the moment, or I can go to a supermarket. So these are my three ways of leaving the apartment. But generally, I'm told rather to stay inside and enjoy myself inside. And I spend a lot of this time contemplating, learning, and creating also a lot of internet-based content. So I try to get myself occupied with the activities that I can do, regardless the fact that the whole season practically until we don't know yet. Is it until July, or is it until the end of August? But generally, most of the season got cancelled, and all the international touring and national performances, they are also, from my perspective, cancelled. And this is mainly what I do. So as you can imagine now, so I have to put my life together in different ways now, somehow figure out a way to go through this COVID-19 thing. But no, I'm not sick, and none of my close friends are sick. So on this side, I think we are all really lucky and happy. And yeah, just I think the fact that we have this moment of reflection is also in general good. So you can dive into yourself, or dive into the plans. You can replan your life in a way. So I'm taking time for that, and I hope I'm not speaking too long. So I'm looking forward to your questions. So welcome again.
Thank you.
Thank you. And how many days have you been in quarantine?
I don't know what should I be calling a quarantine, because I'm not technically, I don't feel like I'm in quarantine. I am supposed to not leave the apartment, but is it a quarantine? I mean, I don't know. It's a recommendation of the government. So I'm not I still don't feel like I'm controlled. I still don't feel my freedom is taken away, totally. So I don't know. Should I call it quarantine? I don't know. But I think the government started acting on the virus. I think it was around 16th of March or 18th of March, something like this.
Yeah, let's take from the fact that you are from Poland, you're Polish, and you are living in Vienna. So we're talking about in let's say two different perspectives. In general, how this have this has affected you, like all the things you were saying from March, and maybe you are not really into a quarantine, but maybe there is an isolation, and there are things that has affected you directly.
Yeah, basically, like, because all the events in Austria are being they're canceled, so like every like public gathering is canceled. Because of that, like, as a choreographer, as someone who does basically performances for living, I simply cannot do my work. So that's how it affects me in the most way, because like basically all my sources of income are taken away by this virus. Yeah, that's a major thing. But if I'm, for example, comparing my situation from like in Austria as comparing if I was in the same time in Poland, like, I have the feeling that Austrian government is doing a very, very how to say, pro-citizen movements. Like, they want to preserve their cultural and generally their freelance sector. So they rolled out in Austria some sort of simple financial help that is available. It's not a big financial help, but it's something that can help you to get by in this difficult period. So I'm really, really happy and glad that this is possible in Austria. And as I know from my family and from my friends, in Poland is a diametrically different situation, where the only thing you can ask for is some kind of a loan. But naturally, if you're freelance, often a loan is not something that will help you out in the situation, but maybe something that will bring you even more down. So these are all questionable things. I'm really happy that in Austria, for a certain group of freelance workers, it is possible to obtain some small financial help. So that's a wonderful.
Yeah, he and you as an artist, freelance artist, do you got right now like projects that you are doing, maybe not focusing on having rehearsal or performance, but maybe doing like the artistic process? I don't know, like, how do you continue working in all your projects? Tell us a little bit about all them.
So the scope of my work is maybe three different, let's say, three different aspects. Like, one of the aspects of the things that I do are the new projects, so developing like new ideas. The other one would be performing the things that already exist, and the other one would be creating, because I'm also organizing this platform for young choreographers in Vienna, and here we invite artists from all around the world to present every month in Vienna. So I'm in charge of that. And of all these three things, I have to say that making new projects is not possible, because I don't have an access to the studio. Like, I was supposed to be in a residency now, like rehearsing every day, but that is not possible. Performing is not possible. Like, I've seen a lot of people publishing their works online. I have not yet decided to do that. So, I mean, for two reasons. One reason would be like who do I think I am to make you watch my art online if you can spend it on watching the big names. But then the other thing is I'm not sure if this would be like, if it's a good way to give your art for free like that. So I'm not also sure about this aspect. So therefore I'm just not doing. But I do work a lot in organization. So some of the performances that were supposed to happen are not happening. I managed to reschedule for later time. So I do a lot of like, organization work like around that. And for the last one, like the craft choreography, the platform for young choreographers, well, that is gonna be start taking place in September, and I have an idea to make an online platform for presenting those work also in a curated way, but I haven't yet rolled it out because I haven't rolled it out yet because turns out I'm really creative and I always find something to do. And at the moment, I spend a lot of my time publishing online courses. So I do small YouTube videos with exercises. I'm trying to focus on like the quality of editing and generally like to record it the best way possible. So if you're interested, you can check them out. They're called micro exercises, 1 square meter micro exercises. And so I'm doing a series of that. They are on the Body Architects TV channel. Maybe that's gonna be linked under this interview. And another thing is I started giving online classes. These are paid. So that also keeps me very motivated and very, simply very engaged because I love also, to create whatever it is. So if I can create a good class, that's also a way to bring the creativity out. So I started also teaching handstands, so this kind of things. And what else? And I also keep myself busy with editing videos because also one thing that's funny thing that you invite me for this interview, but basically that's also what I want to do. So I'm working on establishing like a podcast, simply a podcast channel also, like or sub channel on this Body Architects TV, and I already started, setting up my my whole equipment in order to do that. So I'm really interested in this format. And I'm just still struggling with some technical difficulties. So I'm not very happy with the quality of the phone. And I'm just wondering, like, how can I do it with camera? But then if I do it with camera, like, can a person that I'm talking to also have it in a good quality? So these are the kind of little projects that I'm engaged in. And I'm really happy that I have time for myself and for training, because also, when I work so much in organization of the things, I often don't have enough time to spend time, on my own development, like in the body and generally the body and mind kind of harmony. And now it's a perfect time to refocus, on oneself and like, simply do physical training or mental training, like any kinds of this. So I'm not saying that I'm suffering. I wouldn't say I'm suffering too much. Like I feel this time is also, it's an opportunity also to develop, to figure out other things. And for me, I had some realizations in this time. So for these realizations, I'm really happy that there is, the opportunity for that as well in life.
Yeah, in general, there is a space, actually, as you said, for us and for very personal issues. And Hygin, yeah, you can tell us. I mean, we are doing this. Maybe it is not professional, but it's what we can do right now from our homes using a camera, a computer, and well, the initiative of Future Team, and now Giselle, who is in charge of all this sector of cultural issues, artistic management. Well, we are all trying to, of course, getting closer with the community that it's outside and that now we cannot be physically together. But again, thanks a lot for taking this. You have mentioned, Hygin, a lot of things regarding from one side, your activities that you are doing now online. Some of them are paid, some of them not. I mean, it's not easy, of course, to finally have a decision on whether to post your work or not. And on this term, like, I will ask you, how is the economy affecting are getting the impact from all the COVID issue, from all this crisis. I mean, the whole Europe is getting this, but how, from your perspective as an artist and in this sector, how it is affecting right now?
I think everyone has a different perspective on it. Like, I know I have a lot of friends that are not in the art sector, and what they had to do, I'm sure they suffer some losses, but if they're employed, and they just work from home, and that might be an inconvenience, but it's not a game-changing inconvenience. So there is that. And then there are also all these, you know, businesses and shops that are closed all around the world, all around, you know, Vienna. And you know, of course, I'm sure these people are suffering a big losses, because if you're a company and suddenly you have to, you have to stop making money, then for some companies this is a problem. But again, many of my friends are either employed in normal kind of bigger companies, or they are artists. And for artists, well, we have it hard anyway. So it's not like it's a especially new situation. So I have it. I have to say that the dealing with challenges creatively, I think that's generally the domain of being an artist. And as the government was able to roll out this even small, I bring my performance and then I get paid, and if I have enough of them, then I can make the ends meet and also be happy with that. But the booking usually works with certain time frame. So you have to imagine now that this period of booking that was supposed to happen now, this communication for potential gigs in the future, all of this is broken down. So possibly when I think now about the next year, it's very difficult to foresee any potential booking for the next year, because right now everyone is busy with rebooking the things that were supposed to happen now, in order, like, you know, to save a little bit of this work. So from my perspective, it's tricky to know what kind of consequences will it have, not maybe in this 3 or 4 months, but later. And I'm worried about the later part. I'm not worried about now. I'm worried about, like, but what then, you know, like, that's like, because the normal, like, rhythm of booking and organizing, like that, all of this is kind of interrupted. So, and also I'm worried that if people start to, how to say, deal with the consequences of this period right now, they will, again, the art is not something that has the first priority for people. So it has, I would say, the last priority for people. So I imagine that there's going to be a period in which, especially performing arts, is not going to be the first thing that people are going to spend money on. And in this period, it's going to be a little bit dry for us.
Well, a huge and very, very sensitive vision and perspective from that, like what is going to happen next. What is doing the government on this? Like, what measures really are taking your government? Let's say, I mean, I will ask, yeah, Polish government, but now you're based in Vienna. So what about Austria? What are the measures of the government regarding artistic and cultural sector?
Well, I would say that it's not very different to generally freelancers. So there is a funding for freelancers, and if you are able to obtain it, then it's fine. If you're by some way an artist who has been employed and partially freelance, then there is some kind of interpretation of this funding that is directed for those cases. So it's generally like, I would say it's like for all the freelancers. And yeah, it's just for the moment they rolled out what they call the first phase, and the first phase is of funding is basically an amount of money that can make you survive like a month, you know, like that's a month and a half maybe, if you're very how to say, if you have not too many expenses.
Yeah.
So that's what I can say for now, and there should be a phase 2. I don't know how it's going to look like, but I'm already happy that this exists, because in Poland, as I said, this does not exist. So it's a very big difference.
Yeah. Sure.
And yeah, I imagine in most of the countries, things like this don't exist. So we are really lucky here in Austria for having the government being so caring in a way.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and well, I think it's a really hard time for arts in all the world, but also, well, all the information that we got from the media. And what kind of media do you use to inform yourself?
Oh, that's a very good question. I generally like YouTube commentators that I affiliate with. So I listen to different kind of podcasts on YouTube, and there are some kind of commentaries in them that are more the kind of commentaries that I can how to say, that I can regard as reasonable. And I think this is really important, that the fact that media is right now very sensational, and generally the standard media I'm not very keen on the standard media, and also I'm not very keen on social platforms, because I have the feeling that people also really often run with anything that is more attractive to watch, like whether it's more violent or is more provocative. So I really don't appreciate that either. So I like the very cold, very boring YouTube commentaries of some people that I find. But generally yes, I am aware of all the news. I read the news. I visit the website worldmeters.com/coronavirus like regularly, just to know at least the stats. Like I like different materials that are created on it on YouTube, because people really put time into analyzing it, and I've been able to see it from medical perspective. I've been able to see it from mathematical perspective. I've been able to see it from more, you know, ethical perspective. So these are all really interesting inputs, and I like this discussion format of YouTube more than like the traditional newspaper, kind of internet newspaper.
Yeah, and also I think it's really important to have all the perspectives from different kinds of fields and people, you know, like it's not everything, all the information that we need is not maybe everything in the news. So also, for example, as an artist, do you think there is a before and after all this? What is the artistic panorama of the country you live in after all this?
I'm sure that people who are doing very fine before that will be doing very fine after that. And people who are doing not so well before that will do worse after that. That's how I feel it's going to be. I have the feeling that it's gonna polarize a little bit more the difference between the big players and the smaller players. If there's any prediction that they can think of.
What kind of actions do you think local artists should do? For example, to manage all this situation, like in an artistic perspective?
I have the feeling that I have no idea. I feel it's like it's personal. Like I cannot say that. You know, I think it would be wrong to say keep on doing what you're doing, as well it will be wrong to say change profession. I think there is somewhere in between, like you have to figure out like what you're good at and can you turn it into some kind of entrepreneur idea, and perhaps it will give you an opportunity to diversify the way you live. Because for me, it's also like I'm trying right now to diversify a little bit the way I live, because I relied a lot on performances being sold, and that obviously is not very stable kind of living. And then not that the stability is something to reach for. It's just in situation like this, it is. I need something extra, like just in situation like this, because normally I don't think that stability is like a very important value. I really think that humanity is not entirely the stability is not entirely a domain of a human being, but generally I think in a situation like this is like, for me it's like, how can I turn into some creative thing, other skills that I have? Like that would be my way to cope with it.
Yeah, and also, I mean, it's important, like, well, you as an artist, you are trying to manage all these situations as your point of view and continue your projects and your work. But this is a personal question. Do you think art is necessary in this time of crisis?
I think it's necessary, but I also think we are flooded with it. Like suddenly, I mean, again, I don't know, but I have the feeling that the artistic offer at the moment is huge. Is maybe it's small. Like I cannot compare it to the artistic offer before, but I have the feeling, at least in the internet way of things, there is just simply a lot at the moment, and I think it's important, but I also think it will soon get to a point where it's very saturated.
Yeah. Hygin, you know, maybe, and of course, it will be this video, this conversation, it will be posted, and everyone and people who will enter into our Facebook page, Future Team Mexico, and also our YouTube channel, they will have maybe some questions. They will listen to you, what you say, what is your position, and everything from your own perspective. What message will you send to all these people who will be watching this video?
Well, I really think it's really important to focus a little bit more into oneself. Like I think self-development, because the opportunity of being locked down in an apartment, it's something that we can use as well. Like it's not just a tragedy. I mean, it's definitely a tragedy, but it's also like it offers a space for self-development. And I feel like, you know, suddenly changing the lifestyle to a more healthy one, or starting to do some sports, or learning whatever handstand. Like I felt that this is amazing, like to learn handstand at your own place. Like that, all of this you can, or simply like inscribe for some university courses, like online university. Like all of this is possible. And I feel this is or read, or you know, watch the movies that you didn't watch. Like, I mean, let's say watching movies maybe it's a little bit more can be a little bit more passive task. Like there are ways to engage, like to engage yourself into actively obtaining like new knowledge and new skills. And I feel this, you know, it's an amazing time for that. And you know, if everything is going down, if everything is pessimistic, if the economy is going bad, like at least you can get something positive out of it. And I think this is the most important, like this most healthy approach to this situation. Yeah. And
Yeah,
if you need
hello.
some inspiration, please check my channel. I have very interesting little videos. They're tiny, they're accessible, and they're really entertaining. So, and they are for free. So you can check them out on the channel as well.
Yeah, this is like the main idea, to bring together all our projects and to link people. So Future Team, well, we are doing this from Mexico, but also the general goal is to connect with other projects and people. And Hygin, thank you so much for this interview. And well, it was a really pleasure to have you here.
Thank you, and thank you. Yeah, thank you for having me here. I hope. I don't know. I hope you stay positive, like, because I think this is it's a time of opportunity. I feel. I mean, you wouldn't be doing these interviews if you didn't have an opportunity for that. So
Exactly.
that's great.
That's exactly the objective of opening spaces, that you can be with us as well as different other citizens in around the world and from different perspectives. Today it was yours, cultural aspect, artistic aspect. So thank you, Hygin, once again. Thank you, Giselle. I will say dziękuję in
Dziękuję.
Dzień dobry.